everyone, I'm Rachel Ray, and this is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. This is a podcast about drive, what fuels people that love hard work, and what we can learn from one another. I feel at my best when I'm pressed, when I'm being my most productive, and that's why I've always said, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm excited for everyone to join me for conversations with people I know and people I want to know better. Welcome to I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. I am in awe, and I mean awe, of women that work, are creative, create things every day, and have created actual people, like children. They're not raising dogs like I am. They're raising human beings. And that brings us to my guest today, who I adore. She is funny. She is brilliant. She is brilliant with food as well. I dig her husband. I dig her story. Jenny Mollen is with us today. And Jenny, you know what a cuckoo pants fan I am of yours.
I love you. I'm a fan of yours.
I love you. And I love what you do and how you do it because it's just clever. It's just clever. I mean, I fell in love with Jenny because of Dictator's lunches, plural. You know, you can buy the book version or look at any number of images of it. But your eldest, Sid, what is he now, Jenny? Is he
10?
10? A decade.
It's a decade.
Book in a decade.
It's insane.
Okay. And his brother, how old now?
Laszlo is 6.
Itty bitty baby, but is he going to be the future dictator? What's going on there?
Well,
What's the dynamic?
The thing is this, I mean, they both like completely rule the roost here. And as far as like, do I still live like in an autocratic, am I still like under autocratic rule? Yes. But the school that they go to, I'm not allowed to send lunch anymore. So I'm not even allowed to make the lunches. It's really ruined my brand. Yeah. I've had to like get into other things because they have no need for me as the lunch making mom anymore.
You are not allowed to send lunch. How do you feel about this?
I was enraged at first because this particular school has chocolate milk on tap. And I'm just like, I don't understand a school that like they claim that they're so woke, but that they feed kids like it's the 1980s. That disturbs me. But, you know, I've had to just accept that it is what it is right now. I after a lot of going round and round with the higher ups there, I've finally decided that I have better things to do with my time. And so
no, you really don't. Honestly, dude, this was the most ground shaking. My head blew up when I started watching you work. I've stood next to you while you've done it, and I am an enormous fan of it. This is artwork. This is not making a lunch. It
was like scrapbooking for me in a way.
It's way beyond scrapbooking. This was like Italian mosaic art.
It was so sweet.
Insane. Insanely beautiful food. And not only that, I stood next to you and watched you create it, but I've also eaten it next to you. Picked it up with my hands and just shoved it in my face. It is beautiful food that's delicious too. There has to be a hole in your heart over this whole situation. How are you feeling it?
I started leaning heavily on dinner. So now I'm in charge of dinners. That gives me, at least like the illusion of control. And I love that. And then I started actually recently, I don't know what happened. Basically, to be honest with you, I got in a fight with the Real Rail, okay? I was giving them clothing. I got in a fight with them because they sold something of mine for like $2. And I was like, God, I would have just kept that. What's going on over there? So I don't know, in a momentary like fit of like hysteria, I end up ordering everything back from the Real Rail that I had. And I started selling it on my Instagram and raising money for charity. So the world's upside down right now.
This brings me down 2 different rails of your highway.
Completely.
This is why I love you.
No, I'm out of control. And I ended up, there was this Muslim Bedouin man who has family that's like in Gaza, kidnapped. He doesn't have a home anymore. Oh my gosh. I went to Washington, D.C. on a delegation with him. He doesn't even speak English. Ollie, I love him. I might be his third wife. I don't know what I committed to with him. But I was able by selling my things, I gave this guy like $6,000 cash and he walked out of the country. And I was like, oh my God, this is I'm the middle-aged Mrs. Beast. I'm going to fucking change people's lives this way. So now instead of making lunches, I'm selling all of my belongings and raising money. Jason's like, don't touch my stuff. Jenny, do not touch my things. But every time Jason leaves town, I do like a Instagram live from the apartment. My doorman and I are the same size clothes, okay? He might have a smaller waist than me. So he comes up, he models. I have a Holocaust survivor who's coming over. She's 94, Erica. I love her. Yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with that right now. That's become like my new passion project. My agents are like, what happened to you being a writer? I was like, I don't know. I have a whole new thing going.
Well, yeah. These are the two branches I'm talking about here. You're going off onto this other branch. So where is the acting in this? Are we just writing and just doing this stuff?
I don't know why I was ever an actor. It was like a gateway drug. It was like, no, it wasn't even like a good drug. It was like an Advil cold and sinus. It wasn't like a heroin. And it got me into the business. I realized, okay, I like to perform, but I want control. Like I'm a control freak and I want to only tell my stories.
Exactly. And you want to tell them your way.
Yes.
I also think stand-up would be amazing for you. I'm not joking. I'm not joking at all. And we got to talk about the podcast. We'll get there in a minute. I need some space here. There's too much going on with you. You really are the perfect example of I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I mean, you. I feel you on the deepest level when you say that.
I find rest so boring. I can't just sit outside, sunshine, a pool, an ocean, or whatever it is. I get so bored so quickly. I have to use my brain and my body. Speak to that. What makes you go, 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 go?
Wait, you definitely saw Hamilton, right? The musical?
Oh, of course.
The line that just like over and over in my head. And I know that this line must have just like hit you so hard. When they say, why does he write like he's running out of time?
Exactly.
That's literally how I feel. It's
all
like,
the time.
I don't have enough time to get all the things done that I want to do. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why I'm that person, but it's just, I get you so deeply. I understand that hunger. It's like a hunger.
It is. It really is. And I think for me, it was my mom letting me out of bed as long as I would pay the piper, as long as I would get to school on time. But just being allowed to do that. As a child, were you allowed to read, write, draw, do things? Or did you have a set bedtime? What were the rules like when you were a kid? And when did you, stop following them if you had rules?
Well, my parents were divorced when I was 3. I lived with my mom who had a new boyfriend every 10 minutes. It felt like it was like a Pez dispenser of boyfriends. Like they just kept coming. It was like an endless fucking parade of men. And I lived with her until I was about 12. And then she said to me, I came home one summer and she was like living on some guy's yacht. And she's like, I don't really know how to be a mom anymore. Maybe you should go live with your dad. So I moved to live with my father, who was much more of like a parental figure. But my dad is like a television doctor. He was sort of like a local celebrity. Mm-hmm. And he's a workaholic as well. And he was just like wrapped up in his life. So I was somewhat like invisible. I also had dyslexia, so I didn't feel smart enough. I didn't feel good enough, but I had a major chip on my shoulder that like I had to prove everybody wrong. Like I'm driven by revenge. And I need to like prove everybody wrong. Especially like being like in the 80s and being a little blonde girl in the 80s and being told like everybody like wants to rape you, kidnap you, like you're gonna die, nothing's safe. You're like a bimbo because you have blonde hair, And so all of that just drove me absolutely mad. And I felt like they must be right because I couldn't read or write and I was terrible at math. And I thought, what am I gonna do? And so then, the theater really saved me. And being able to be on a stage, like having my parents have to sit for 2 hours in the dark and just listen to me, that was like, oh my God.
Wow.
This
what
is
a
what I've been looking
discovery.
for. Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of like when everything changed. And then
I
went
love
to
that.
theater school and then I went to UCLA and I never looked back.
Did you ever think about doing stand-up? Because you are hilarious.
No, because honestly, Rachel, like I was afraid to be funny because funny back then meant that I was going to play like the bimbo on a sitcom. And I wasn't funny until I found Twitter. Until honestly, I started writing and it wasn't about how I looked. And then like I could kind of hide behind that. And then honestly, I think the jealousy that I had towards Jason when I met him, he's always like, I've supported you. I've like always been your biggest fan and you've done nothing but like want to take me down. But like, it was hard to be married to somebody who's famous. It's hard on your ego, especially when you're like an overachieving sort of like, you want something.
But that's how you met. You were acting together.
Oh yeah. But remember, I saw his audition tape and I was like, they're like, who should we hire? Should we hire Jason Biggs or this other guy? And I was like, definitely the other guy, the underdog. Like, fuck Jason Biggs. He's famous. Like, why should he get anything else? He's had enough. And then I met him and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm in love with him. This is problematic.
No, that really did happen. You guys.
Yes.
Wasn't it 2008? Like my best friend's girl. Yeah.
My best friend's girl. Exactly.
And you guys were engaged in like minutes, 6 months or something crazy.
We got engaged super fast, but this again.
But
see,
why?
I feel like, okay.
Tell me, give me the selling point.
This is you. I'm telling you. I get you. So, okay, I did not think I wanted children. I was like, I have my career. I want to do so many things. I don't have time. When I met Jason, we were in New York. We did ecstasy one night. I got pregnant.
Oh,
okay?
geez.
I'm just dating him. I take a morning after pill. Nothing happens. I end up pregnant. And then I'm like,
wow,
wait, this celebrity guy is hijacking my life. No. I'm not going to be a mom.
Oh my
and so
God.
I think I'm going to have an abortion. I'm not keeping this guy's kid. Like, what is happening? I end up miscarrying. But at this point, we're so bonded, having gone through all this.
All that
kind of
drama.
Me,
exactly.
That it pushes
and emotion.
me over the edge.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, I mean, I was going to, I guess, have your kids. So marriage feels like a drop in the bucket at this point. So that almost had to happen. It pushed me into commitment. I'm such a committophobe. And also having seen my parents, I was like, I'm not going to get married. But then, he literally for 5 years had to beg me to have Sid because I was so just like, I'm not going to be a mom.
I didn't get married till I was 38, kiddo. So
yeah,
you don't have to tell me.
Right. But also I was like, how am I going to be the mom I always wanted when I didn't have the mom I always wanted? Like that was my biggest fear too. I was like, how I am going to be responsible for somebody else's trauma, even if I do it right. Like, I don't want that.
But I think that's part of the element of you that's so special is how frank you are with everyone about what that life is like and what it is like to just be responsible in life for other human beings. Like that's ginormous.
It's crazy.
Let's go back to the food thing.
Yes.
I'm obsessed with that. So do you make mosaics out of dinner plates now? Do you like arrange your husband's dinner?
No, not Jason's.
Do you make funny plates for the kids only, but not Jason?
Yeah, Jason's like a weird eating schedule. We call him steals food in the night. He's like a Grendel figure that lives in the apartment.
Yes, I gotcha.
But he doesn't eat when we eat. Like he isn't hungry until midnight, the stroke of midnight. So we eat at like 4 p.m. And then
That's
comes
like
out
my
and starts
husband.
rummaging.
My husband likes an early dinner.
I love an early dinner. Well, I'm like starving by 4. I'm ready to eat my own arm off. So I'm just impatient. I can't wait. Like that's the hardest thing. What about you? When do you eat?
Dude, cooks will all tell you, and you know this. You eat when you can eat. While you're cooking, you grab a bite of this, or grab a bite of that. And then if you make a really big meal, like sometimes I'll cook for as many as 68, 70 people.
Yes. That's insane.
At a time. Yes, but it's true. And I won't eat one bite, like not one.
What?
The
Because
smell of food. No, but after you butcher and scale and cut up everything, it's just, it becomes overwhelming and it just makes you kind of sick to your stomach and not interested in food at all. It's ironic, but it's true. John's an early birder, but he's also a late night snacker occasionally. On days when I have to cook very little, that's when I'm very hungry and I have an appetite. On days when I have to cook a lot for many people, production days, I cook for the crew and I cook for everyone and everything we're producing that day. I don't need a lot, a few bites here, a couple bites there. I just get over it. It just, no.
Does food equal love for you?
No. Love equals love for me. I like knowing people. I'm a brain candy kind of a person. Food equals I can connect with people I've lost. I can remember places I've been, and I can find generations that are now lost. I can be with my grandpa again. I can go to some place that's on my bucket list that I haven't been to yet, or I can remember something that I've had I've had the joy of going to. That was the other place I wanted to get to next with you is you love to travel with your kids, with the family. That's a challenge. Going anywhere, an hour in the car, let alone on airplanes into different countries and
going
stuff.
to the Rite Aid is a challenge.
But how much food connects us in different ways, and what you think your kids and your family is learning when you do that all together as a project.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that we've been taking them to Austria for so many years that like now there are certain things that they just like, they don't make it here. And so, and they only are with pancakes. It's like, they want the Kaiserschmarrn that we get in Austria. So it's like trying to like recreate certain dishes here as if I'm like some little like Hausfrau on like an Austrian ski slope. I mean, it's hilarious, but yes, no. And they've been to Thailand. I think it really just broadens somebody's worldview, not even just through like on a food level, but on every level.
Yes, to see other people, right,
yes,
that live differently than you do.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a huge part of education. On a kind of funny note for me, both of the boys speak German, right?
Yes, which is so funny, especially now that I'm like a Jewish activist.
And Jason does not, right?
No, exactly.
Okay.
He does not.
Okay.
He's so confused by it. Well, now he understands too much. At first it was actually great because I had a secret language with them.
That's right. That's where I was going. I'm like, that's so much fun. You could speak behind his back, but in front of his face.
Yeah, but now he's like, you just said, he's like, I know what you said. And then I see him grab his phone to like translate something. And then he looks up and he's like, did he just say that he hates me? And did you just say nothing? I'm like, maybe. Look over here. Trying to just
that might have happened.
That may have happened. Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it is fun. I love having another language with the kids because people think my children are so polite. And it's only because I'm threatening them in German in front of everybody.
Oh,
and nobody can tell.
And no one can tell.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, he just asked to get me a glass of water. Oh my God. Like this 10-year-old, he's such a gentleman. I'm like, yeah.
You're a
I'm like,
superhero.
You're not getting your iPad later. You like Roblox? What are you going to do for it?
Oh my gosh. I enjoy that so much.
Yes. Yes.
I enjoy how much you enjoy that.
Oh, I
enjoy that so much. See, these are the keys to only sleeping when you're dead, because then you can be awake long enough to think of all of this brilliant shit.
I'm like, how can I really micromanage the fuck out of these kids? Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. What's up with the Jaden thing? Why do you call him Jaden?
Okay, so my phone auto-corrected Jason to Jaden, which I find so insane because Jason is like, isn't it like the most popular name of the 80s?
It's one of the most popular names ever.
Everyone's a Jason, but my phone was just like, oh, you must mean Jaden. And so when that happened, I started doing it all the time because I am somebody who's like constantly Jason Biggs is +1. So I love the fact that my phone is like just degrading him slightly to make him Jaden. Like they're like, I don't know who that is. You mean Jaden? And so that's how it started. And now he's Jaden to everybody. Even at Starbucks, sometimes he'll walk in and somebody will write Jaden just to fuck with him, which I really appreciate.
For John, it's Mr. Ray.
Oh my God. See, John would get me. See, John has a lot of this. I mean, John is
we both get you, believe me.
John is living some of this. I mean, he's married to you, so I'm sure it's constant.
Mr. Ray, so happy to have you.
Oh my God.
And I mean anywhere, all over obscure places in Italy. He's on Elba. He's on Elba, the tiniest little island.
This is amazing.
Mr. Ray, so happy to have you. Would you like to pre-order breakfast for tomorrow, Mr. Ray?
How is he with it? Does he love it? Does he get a kick out of it? Or is he like,
he doesn't give a shit. I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
Look, my husband.
When he married you, you were already famous.
Yeah. No, not at all. No. Well, two different things.
Okay.
When we met, I was not even on television. I had filmed a bunch of shows, but I had never been on TV. Okay. When we met, he had no idea what I did, and I thought he was gay. Because
amazing.
He told me what he had made for dinner the night before, and it was so impressive. And he told me he was a lawyer. There's no way a straight guy knows what tilapia is, or he was trying to spice it up with some homemade tomatillo salsa, and he made mock shoes spilling out of an avocado on the side.
Stop it.
And I'm
of
like,
course he was gay.
I'm
No
like,
straight
of
guy
course
is
you're
doing
gay.
that.
So I said, I'll set you up with a friend of mine. And he said, and I said, hey, he's a great guy. And I started to describe him, and he's like, but I'm not gay. And I'm like, check, please.
Stop
Hello. Over here.
Oh my God.
What was the sales ticket bottom line? Is it this sense of humor that keeps you guys together and why you're so in love with Jaden?
Yes.
After all this
couples
time.
Therapy. I mean, honestly, I was just doing a podcast before this, and I was saying, like, I think that like kids are so hard on a relationship. It is crazy. I don't think we ever fought the way that we fight now because like the stakes were just not as high. We weren't trying to keep two people alive. And I think that the only reason that Jason and I, first of all, we're so committed to making it work. We love each other, but you also have to be so damn committed to making the relationship work. We are in couples therapy. Like since we met, we've been in couples therapy, but it helps. I don't know if if without Beth Becker, I'm not sure because we just get both lock into our defenses. And like, I'm parenting the child that I was and not the child that I have. And he's doing the same. And then we're back and forth and, arguing over like whose needs come first. And so like without sort of a mediator, I don't know if we'd be as strong as we are.
I think that's a brilliant observation. Being able to separate the kid that you were and the kid that you might be trying to raise,
yes,
or the person that you're living with even. I feel the same way with John, and we don't have human kids. We have dogs. But I feel that too, that we're often stuck in where we come from rather than who we are present day. And it's very hard, especially for hot-tempered or creative or vociferous, shall we say, loud people, to be able to just calm it down. Yes. John and I don't calm it down ever. We have huge screaming matches all the time, but I think that's healthy. I really do. And I don't trust people that are too quiet. Do you?
Oh, it's scary.
They freak me out.
I stand with someone.
I feel like I'm in one of those creepy horror movies, like Get Out or something. Like somebody's going to bang a teacup and I'm going to go into oblivion or something. Too quiet freaks me out. I prefer that you tell me what you think when you think it and just let's get it all out there. Get it out there. Is that part of you?
Who's the first to apologize with you guys?
I don't know that we ever apologize to each other. Eventually, I pat him on his ass or he kisses me on the head.
And you move on.
And that's just sort of it. That's the apology. It's just sort of understood. All right. I still like your ass. I still like your head. It's kind of in that zone. Who apologizes first on your end?
I would say Jason will say him always. And I think that's probably true only because I'm more stubborn than Jason. Like Jason can't sort of tolerate the discord. So I could like a wall comes down and I'm just like, I'll fucking ice you out as long as it takes. That's where I go. And he's like, oh God, I don't like this feeling. We're both so codependent with each other. So he'll usually apologize first. The problem with us is that we both feel like we want to go first. And I think in relationships, it's like you have to be okay. It's let the other person go first. Make it all about them. Save your shit. You could have your moment too, but save it for later. Because we always want to be like, I'm sorry I hurt you, but you also hurt me. And it's like, that's the trap. It's like, save the but you hurt me until 2 days later when they can hear you.
You're doing this podcast, and I want to know what you stopped doing because I don't believe you weren't doing something else. Were you doing your own podcast before you came on this podcast?
Yes. So it was actually interesting. I had Busy Phillips on today. Busy on my podcast called All the Fails. And Busy and I grew up together.
First of all, stop there. All the fails. Yes. Explain.
So instead of all the feels, it's called All the Fails because I wanted to focus sort of, so many people talk to celebrities and whatever about their accolades and things that they're up to and all the great things. But like, I don't think I've seen something where it's like, people are being interviewed about the insurmountable odds they had to sort of overcome to get to where they are. It's like, I don't want to hear about you slaying the dragon. I want to hear about the 10 steps it took to like be standing on that mountaintop. And so that's kind of what this is about. But like the reason it was like just kind of funny to do Busy is because her successes are so linked to my fails because we were high school rivals.
Oh, shut up.
Yes. We grew up together. We've known each other since we were 12. We went to LA the same year. Now she lives like 2 blocks away from my house in New York. It's like we have just been on these parallel sort of trajectories. But every time she'd get something, all it would do for me is like highlight the things I didn't have. And so like we talked about like jealousy and rivalry and how like just the patriarchy, how like there can never be more than one successful woman in a room, all of this. And so, yeah, so that's what the new I have to have you on. I mean,
I will come.
I've
got millions of fails.
I need to hear all of them. I
can give you buckets of fails, baby.
Yes.
Buckets of them. I would be thrilled to do that quid pro quo, biatch.
It would be my honor to
Come
have
on, we got to do this. Pinky swear.
Pinky promising you.
Pinky
I'm
promising. Done and
Even
done
if I have
and
to book
done.
you through John Ray, I'm coming for you.
That's hilarious. And I bet she's cracking up in the other room, by the way. He's listening right outside the door. He has to be on mute because we only have one set of headphones in this studio.
I'm obsessed.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yes.
John has this huge studio, all of this equipment, live room and a sound room, and he only has one set of headphones.
I love that.
I find that a crack up. I really do. Mama's got to monkey up some extra cash this week.
Mama's
Call
gotta
somebody.
Figure that out.
I got to figure that out. We got to buy some more headphones.
You're going to have to sell a blazer on my Instagram.
I would so do that too. Listen,
I should come to your closet.
No sugar pops. No, I can say shit. It's a podcast. No shit. I have sold all of my clothes to staff, friends, and online for years because they were buying for a daytime TV show. None of it was like my stuff. Now everything is my stuff, but I pick it, but I buy some stuff seasonally. I always have extra clothes and I love selling it to make more money for all things. I started my brand to pay life forward for us because we did get married so late. We were both almost 40 and John's 1 year older than I am. Just saying. But we've always wanted to figure out a way to somehow have children because we didn't have children. So when we started a brand together, we used that money to pay for kids to eat, to improve school food. And then it became a dog and cat food company too. And now we feed animals.
That's amazing.
It feels good. It is all it feels. But it came out of a lot of incredibly hard work and my husband's brilliance and the thousands of people we got to work with over the years that helped make that happen. And the people we still work with to this day. That's why it's fun to get out of bed every day because you can not only do good for yourself, you can do good for other people. Can you speak to that? What is the biggest motivator when you open your eyes in the morning?
Well, the thing for me is that I really I love being able to eliminate the middleman. There's a guy on the corner, and he makes salads and he works 5 jobs. And he asked me one day, he's like, do you have anybody who cleans for you? My wife would love to come. She's looking for work. I'm putting my kids through college. And I kept thinking about Martin. And then, I thought to myself, when I realized, I can actually raise money this way, I was like, I want to do something. It's like a love bomb where I am going to get his Zelle. I'm going to get his cell phone number and we're all just going to do a donation. And I have a raffle box. It's there's a purse in it. There's a watch. There's all this shit from my house that I don't need this. And somebody's going to win this big box of all these things. Martin, I don't know, maybe he made $3,000 yesterday, but that's life-changing for him.
It's amazing.
That's huge. And when I walked over there today, I can't tell you, I woke up at 3 a.m. I was so excited to see Martin, to walk in there. I mean, at first he was freaked out. He's like, I've been hacked. I don't know what's happening to me. But being able to just directly affect somebody's life, there is something so...
It changes your life. It changes your life in profound ways.
It's better than any fucking movie, book, anything I've ever done with my life. Being able to just go and change his day, it fuels me.
That's it. It's that connection that you can make with people. And, that is one tiny place where John and I are a little different. He doesn't how close how directly I like to be linked with folks. And when we were working alone.
How you put that.
No, when we were alone for 2.5 years, where John was the only crew here, he was the whole crew. He's a lawyer and a musician. He is not a guy who works in television. And he was the entire crew for 2.5 years. Poor guy.
What is your astrological sign?
I am a list-making worrier. I worry about everything. I'm a Virgo.
Oh my God, I love that. I love a
What
Virgo.
are you?
I'm a Gemini, but I have a lot of Virgo in my chart.
I gotcha. And my husband, not a shocker, a Leo.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That really does explain a lot.
The lion and the worrywart. Yeah, so it's very funny. So I want to talk about how you write, because I love how you think and you're such a free speaker. What is your process when you have to put it to paper? I mean, are you a person who starts with the notepad or do you start on the computer? Live fast, die hot. I mean, just to remind people, I like you just the way I am. Just the titles crack me up. They really do. City of Likes. I mean, how do you start that process and how do you work through it?
Well, every time I sit down to write, I think, I can't do this. I'm not a writer. I definitely flip out thinking it's never going to happen. And then I have to sort of bore myself into being funny. I have to just like sit there long enough that I'm bored, that then it starts to come.
Do you like it quiet or do you have music on in the background or Law and Order?
Maybe I have ADD.
Quiet?
I'm not sure because I really can't hear. The music will pull me out of it. So it has to be quiet. I have to be able to say it out loud as I go. I mean, I really have, it has to sound right to my ear. And my grammar is horrible. Every time Jason proofreads something for me, he's like, how are you a published author? I don't understand. Did anybody teach you how to use a comma? It seems that you just take commas, throw them in the air, and they just fall wherever they fall. And it's true. And now, so I have this Substack that I do with Diablo Cody, who's like, she's like a savant. She's such a good writer. So every time I post, I'm like, oh my God, Jason, you have to look at it. Because if Brooke sees this, she's going to know that I'm like a fraud. And she's always like, Jenny, I'm not judging you. But yeah, so it is a thing.
So do you write directly into the computer?
Yes, always.
I could never do that. Oh my God, it just made me like gasp and hiccup at the same time. I am such a pencil person. When I was a kid, every picture I drew, every single picture, the giraffe, the fish, the person, the thing, anything, it could be anything, had a bag. And my mother said, why is everything a girl? And why do they all carry purses? I said, that's not their purse. That's where they put their notebook and their pencil.
Oh my God. How cute. I want you as a daughter.
Seriously, I can't go to sleep if I don't have access to a pen and paper.
Oh,
I just can't handle it.
But what about with recipes? Do you write recipes or is that all in your head?
I write recipes. I write notes. I write things. I write all the time, but I like to write in the middle of the night. Things come to me and I have to jot it down. I have to have a place to put it down. I have a thing across from my bed, next to my bed, in the kitchen, everywhere I sit in the house has pencil and paper. And my life looks like a train wreck. I've had interviews done in my home where people say, what the hell is that? And I'm like, well, that's the empire right there. There you go.
There's notes everywhere.
There's thousands of Post-it notes, ripped up pieces of paper, pads of paper, thick decks of pads of paper, Italian lessons, everything.
Has John ever thrown a paper away? And like, have you ever lost it on him for like getting rid of a paper?
No, John would never throw away my notes. He knows way better than that. That would be
if it
punishable.
Was like ripped up and you're like, no, I actually didn't.
No, that's a punishable by death thing.
No ass smack for that.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. So it's surprising to me that you work directly into a computer. That's brave. I kind of suck at it.
Yes. I think because my spelling is also horrible. So like if I were scribbling it down, I probably wouldn't be able to read it afterwards.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because you do get the autocorrects, but let's remember that's how we got Jaden.
You know what? You're right. What about with hosting? Like, what do you, of all the things you do, like, what do you love the most? Where do you feel like, oh yeah,
cooking.
This is,
obviously,
it's cooking. It's always going to be cooking.
I am a homemaker. I love chores. I love being in the kitchen. I always work with my brain every day. I'm always writing something. But I really like chores. I like what people consider physical work. I like making dinner, planning dinners, making lists. I love physical labor, helping carry in the wood. I've had a couple of bad falls in the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been doing that in a while. But I love carrying wood. How many pieces of wood did John carry? can I carry more? I don't say that to John. I just say it to myself.
Of course. Of course. I feel you. I'd be right there with you.
Are you competitive at all?
I would rather drown in the Hudson River than let Jason beat me to the other side. Literally. 100%. When we go to Austria and there's this tiny lake we swim across. Oh my God. I'm a psychopath. I could lose a wedding ring and not give a fuck because I'm going to win that race.
I have actually lost wedding rings. We'll save that.
Rachel, we need to be one. We need to be together at all times because I will have your back and be like, she's right. Her decision is correct. We need to continue forward. This is exactly the path she needs to be on.
This will be the hardest question for you to answer of this podcast, but I better get invited to your podcast pretty damn soon.
Coming.
Because this was so fun.
This was so fun.
I want to know something, again, this is going to be difficult. I want to know something that people would find surprising about you. And it's difficult because you're so open and you're so self-deprecating and honest with people and you put so much on digital. But what is something that would shock people and be like, what did she just say?
I think people are always shocked that I don't drink. I think people are always like watch my lives and think, oh my gosh, she must be wasted. And I think I don't drink, not because like I had a drinking problem, even though Jason is sober. I think I grew up around a lot of alcoholics and drinking for me just like was never my thing.
Not your jam.
Like, it's just not my jam, but I don't have a problem with it. I just don't do it. And I think that everybody's always shocked because they see me and there's strobe lights going and I'm rolling on the ground, like on these lives. And they think, oh, she must be so fucked up. And when I say, oh, I don't drink, it's like people are stunned.
A shocker to them.
Yeah, they're like, what?
How could she have that much fun?
Yeah, I think so.
We're very different there. I'm an Italian.
Like, what would be your cocktail of choice?
Well, I make my own brand of gin. So I enjoy a martini.
Okay, I like that.
And I have handcrafted ours. And I am an Italian. So, of course, I love wine with dinner. And my grandfather made grappa and wine when I was a little girl and he lived with us.
Oh, that's cool.
To me, he was my papa. He was my dad, not just my mom's dad. He was my father figure in my life. He was the most important fella I ever knew. He was my first best friend. And he let me sit on his lap when I was a little kid. And he and his friends, the Runzo boys, would play Scopa and Treset. They would play Italian card games and they would drink grandpa's wine or grandpa's grappa and he would smoke his pipe and his friends would roll their cigarettes. And I always smelled like old Italian men.
What do you think he would say if he could see you now? Would he just be like, whoa?
I hope he does see me now. I hope there is a heaven. My husband is, I don't know, at best an agnostic. If you asked him, he'd say he's an atheist probably. But I hope I believe in God and I say my prayers every night, but the prayer my mother wrote for me when I was a little girl. And I always talk to Grandpa and my dogs that have passed. I think of them every night and every morning. And I kind of keep centered that way. I like staying connected. Who was your biggest influence when you were a kid?
Probably my dad. But also, I was a bit of like the surrogate spouse. So there was a lot of needing to be a certain way. And I mean, I love him. He's incredible. But yeah, it was tricky. Like when I found Jason and just like our enmeshment and like.
I got you.
Yeah, that was hard. But I also had a dog that like was my first husband who I lost 8 years ago today, actually.
Oh, no.
And I understand that.
The anniversary,
that
right?
you're talking about.
Yep.
The pain it's just.
It's incredible.
There's nothing like that loss.
It really is crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for ripping yourself away from your incredibly busy life and your own podcast to be with us.
Are you kidding? I jumped at the chance. I'm obsessed with you.
I can't wait to be a part of yours. I hope that happens soon. My fingers are crossed. We have pinky swears.
Pinky swear. Tell John we're getting enmeshed. The four of us are getting enmeshed, whether he and Jason want it or not.
I love you very much. And send my love to Jason, of course.
I will.
I love you guys. And you're also welcome anytime upstate or in Italy on the cooking show. We'll have fun and goof around in the kitchen too.
I love it. We love you guys.
Big kisses.
Mwah.
Thank you, my sweet.
Have a good weekend.
I'm Rachel Ray, and this is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. Keep up to date with this podcast across all social media platforms at Rachel Ray and at rachelray.com. I'll Sleep When I'm Dead is produced by Joanna Jojo Paredes, Tommy T.C. Crudup, Andrew Cappy Kaplan, me, Rach, and special shout out to my husband, John, the Kuz Kuzumano, who provides not only the music for our show, but he's been my wingman pretty much every episode of this podcast, and I'm using his studio for it. Thank you, honey. Also, we have editing help from Joel Yetten. Subscribe to this podcast on your listening site of choice, and thank you for listening to I'll Sleep When I'm Dead.